Today I'm joined by Anita Lane of Core Breakthrough Coaching. Anita, thank you so much for joining me here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Karen.
It's my pleasure. Anita, I thought we'd start with a little bit of your background. Can you share a little bit of how you got started in the coaching space?
Yes. What I didn't realize was I had been coaching kind of my whole life. And I was always somebody that people came and told their deepest, darkest secrets and painful experiences and asked for help. And I just thought that was, you know, common. And then I realized in my 40s that, oh, that's something unique. I have a special sauce here. So I got laid off in 2008. I'd always been in sales and marketing. And I took that time, took about a year, and just took time off and thought, I'm not going to do another job until I figure out what my purpose is, what it is I want to be, kind of when I grow up, basically. And so I had always done a lot of personal development. I had always uh, loved doing personality tests and aptitude tests and just learning about myself. So I pretty much understood myself pretty well. But I had something called hand analysis done. And hand analysis is basically, it's the Hand Analysis Institute. It's based out of San Francisco, but people are trained all around the world. And hand analysis will tell you, based on your fingerprints, what your life purpose and your life lesson is. And then they tell you like gift markings that you have in your hand. And so one of the things that stood out for me in the gift markings that I was told was that I have kind of like x-ray vision into other people. And so it gives me the ability to kind of understand somebody probably even deeper than they understand themselves. And I thought, oh, everybody had that. And I realized, no, that's a very unique gift. And it goes really well with therapy and coaching and um, consulting and that kind of work. And so I thought, well, I don't want to go back to school for another 4 years to be a therapist. So I decided to just become a coach. So in 2009, I signed up for IPEC, which is one of the coaching programs, and it was a 10-month program. And then while I was doing that, I was working part time out of a wellness clinic. And this wellness clinic had chiropractor and acupuncturist and massage therapist. And so they said, well, hey, when you figure out, what it is you're going to do, maybe you could do it out of our practice and we can help you build your practice. And so I was like, okay. So I got certified as a coach and started coaching people. And then, and they were referring people to me, which is one of my key things I tell coaches when I get calls all the time from coaches saying, hey, what do you advise and how do you start? And I always tell them, align yourself with people that you can cross reference, you can cross refer. So anyway, I started coaching, and then somebody said, you should go check out ThetaHealing. And I was like, okay. So I went and did a couple of classes, trainings on a process called ThetaHealing. And I realized when I added that into the intuitive work, the coaching work, the guided visualization, and the affirmation work that I was already doing with clients, when I added in the theta healing component, magic started happening. People started reporting things that I had no idea how they had that kind of experience. And so that became my process. That's how I came up with core breakthrough coaching, because what I'm known for is getting to the core issue. Excuse me, getting to the core issue. And it's kind of like their story, their core story, negative story. And then we do processes to help rewire the unconscious, subconscious part of their mind to change that for them. So, long story, but basically that's how I got started. And in 17 years, I've never had to market myself or advertise because I have established um, relationships with people that see clients that need my type of work also. And so we refer to each other.
I love that. I love the way all the pieces of your past and your journey have fit together to bring you where you are today. That's such an amazing journey that you're on, and the fact that you get to, I guess, cross-pollinate with other professionals in terms of building that referral-based business. That's really, really, really unique. So as things began to grow, and as we sort of look at your business today, what does that look like for you?
Well, I have an office, and so I do see clients face to face, which some people do like. So for people that live in Austin, Texas, that's where I live. Sometimes they prefer face to face. For people that are outside of the city, the state, or even I work with people in other countries too. It's all virtual. So I like being able to offer both. I think the high touch of face to face is good for me, in addition to being good for my clients. But I also don't want to be tied down to only being able to work with people face to face. So I do offer that. I currently, my business is pretty, it's kind of always done this kind of growth. And part of that was because I was still raising children and still needing to be kind of flexible about my schedule. But now I'm empty nesting. And so I have built my business up a little bit more, but I still, I don't really see more than, I try to see about 15 people a week. That's pretty much my sweet spot. So right now, I'm not necessarily trying to grow my business as far as one-on-ones. Now I'm focusing on growing my business in more like of a membership and groups and healing retreats, things like that. That's what I'm now focused on.
We know that the journey of building a business and being an entrepreneur isn't without its challenges. Uh, is there one challenge that you could share with us, and what were the learnings that you took from it?
I think that the biggest challenge for me, and it's probably tied to being very visionary and right brain, is I am not great at left brain planning, structuring, um, technical, uh, budgeting, so to speak. Like treating it like a real business. That is not easy for me. I've had consultants and people outside that have helped me, but it's just not my thing. So I would say the hardest part for me has been uh, being able to take big picture, visionary, kind of go with the flow, but also incorporate structure, left brain, um, budgeting, planning, goal setting, those kinds of things. That's that's not something that I default to easily.
And as a coach and as a leader in your business, what was your biggest learning or takeaway from facing that challenge, or still facing that challenge?
I would say that I have to be coachable. I have to practice what I preach, which is nobody's expected to be an expert at everything. And there's no shame in that. These are my gifts and my skills and my wheelhouse. And if I want to excel in areas that are not really in my wheelhouse, I have to hire people and let them coach me to get there. So I would say being consistently designating time and money resources to hire experts to help me in the areas that are not easy for me.
Yeah, that's an important learning, to be able to acknowledge that we have our gaps, and that, like you said, there's no shame in reaching out and asking for help to help fill those gaps and complement the skills that are in your wheelhouse.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I don't want to be so in my own way that I don't get to grow and serve more people.
Right, right. And what would you identify as one of your biggest successes?
Well, I would say some of the people that I work with have had a lot of trauma in their life. Sometimes I work with people that just need little tweaks. I help people get unstuck, out of struggle, or even out of suffering. And I feel most like fulfilled when I work with someone that has had really intense trauma, childhood, physical, emotional, sexual trauma. And, often these are people that have been in therapy their whole life, that have had drug and alcohol addictions, that have, they can kind of gut their way through, but it's always like swimming upstream. Life is just like swimming upstream because of this burden of these primary years, which 0 to 7 is the primary period for anybody's development of their self, you know. And so helping people that have not found relief and help and healing and even freedom from other things, often I'm able to really help those people. And I've had people say, I've been in therapy 20 years working on this. And in one session, 2 sessions, 3 sessions, it's gone. And it's not that I'm magical, it's that I have a process that taps into the magic part of a human being's essence to rewrite this story that is like a dark cloud that has hung over them for their whole life. And so when we change things at the level that they were created, which is in the unconscious, subconscious part of the mind, things can happen like that. Changes can really happen like that. But typically, we try to make changes with the conscious mind, and the conscious mind is only controlling about 5% of us. It's that 45 to 75% of the mind that is hardwired, coded from 0 to 7, when usually the majority of the trauma and the story and the sense of who I am and what I'm worth is established, was never uh, was never healthy, right? It was set up to be doomed. And so helping people like that just is the most rewarding part of my work.
I can imagine. Yeah, to see someone change and to, like you said, unburden themselves and
Yeah.
just move past this weight that they've been carrying their entire life would be pretty amazing to be a part of that for sure. Anita, if you could give your earlier self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Well, knowing what I now know, I don't know that I could have known it sooner, but knowing what I now know, I would say, I wish I knew what a difference my life was going to make in the world, and in ways that I could see and in ways that I couldn't see. And that because I am important in the world and important in the evolution of the world, that I'm going to be protected and provided for. I wish I'd known that. I know it now, but it would have been nice to know it then.
I think we all would like to know that at an earlier stage in life. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, definitely. But the thing is, you do know it now, and that has been realized for you, and you understand that, and hence your
Yeah, it's so nice to find your purpose. I
yes,
mean, I wish that that was something we taught in elementary school, your worth, your purpose, um, your values. I wish those things were really taught, because that's really the foundation of that life, is that strong sense of their core self. And Maybe it'll change over time. Parents seem to get more conscious all the time, so that's a good thing. And children come in more conscious all the time. But I think the sooner we can figure out our purpose for why we're here, the better we're going to be, the more peaceful we're going to be, and the more we can have a sense of fulfillment. I read recently that the chances of being born and living at this time are 400 trillion to 1. So if your life, the chance of you being alive is 400 trillion to 1, then wouldn't you think that you matter and you're important and you have a purpose?
Yeah, I think that's a stat we need to share with people to really
Yes.
drive that point home.
Yes.
4 billion to 1?
400, I think it's 4 trillion or 400 trillion is what I read.
That's amazing.
Just the statistics of the odds of the embryo, the sperm, the gestation, just the whole thing is just it's astronomically designed against you being born, living, thriving, growing up.
That's amazing. Switching gears just a little bit. If your business had a reset button, what is something that you would like to simplify?
Social media. Oh, I'm not good at social media. I mean, I love talking to people, but just the whole, and I don't really even, it doesn't really negatively affect my business that I'm really don't even hardly have any presence on social media. But I do think it's a really powerful tool for getting good messages out there, and touching a lot of lives in a positive way. So, yeah, I wish that I could demystify and motivate myself to learn it and do it better. That would probably be the only thing.
Just a small little thing to fix.
Right. Yeah. I'm hoping AI is going to take over for me.
You're not far off. There are solutions out there that
I'm going to find one.
Anita, if you could give your clients one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't believe your story. Don't gaslight yourself into believing your story. Your story was created by your child self, probably from 0 to 3, with the best understanding that they could have for why, even in a great childhood with great parents, you're still going to pick up some negative self image and negative stories. And that I believe on a spiritual level, we are here to actually live the life that is contrary to our story. So I grew up in a family with 3 sisters, 2 older and 1 younger. Great childhood, no abuse, no money problems. But I had 2 sisters above me that were very jealous and competitive. And so, being sensitive and super intuitive, I picked up on all this, and I didn't like conflict and I didn't want to rock the boat. So I learned to play small, and I learned to not have a big presence and not speak up and kind of enmesh myself into what other people needed and wanted. And so I know that I'm here to be on a stage. I'm here to touch a lot of people's lives. So if my story of don't be self expressed because you're going to be judged, criticized, ridiculed, whatever, the exact opposite is what is most fulfilling for me and what I'm here for. Yeah, I tell people take your story and flip it. Okay? So your negative story is your protection, but you're here for the exact opposite. So for me, it's playing bigger, having a presence, not for ego, but just because I have something important to say and to share.
I love that. Do you think people know that they're carrying a story, but when they come to you and want to work with you, do you think there's an awareness that they have these stories, or is that something that you help unpack when they work with you?
I think that some people have more consciousness and they realize their story, but they still think that their story is because of what really happened versus their story is just their story, right? And nobody had to do anything wrong for me to come up with my story to play small. Nobody did anything wrong. Nobody set out to, oh, we're going to do this to Anita. So, it's not that, right? So I would say a lot of people do not realize that it is a made up story. And if they do see parts of their made up story, they still, it's kind of like a puzzle that they've done the outline of the puzzle, but they're missing the core of it. They don't understand how it all fits together, how their story is complicated, but really drill it down, it's really pretty simple. So yes and no. I think more and more people are realizing it's a story, but I think most people still believe it was what was done to them.
Interesting. Yeah. So if I'm hearing you correctly, they're not looking within to understand where they are and what's happening to them. And once they do, that's sort of where these stories start dissolving and breaking down, which allows you to move into the direction of a more purposeful, more aligned life. Is that what I'm?
Right, right. And if we, to me, if we take it back even further, it's my soul chose this experience and knew I was going to come up with this story, which was going to cause me pain, which motivated me because nobody likes pain, motivated me to seek and to change and to push and to break out of that, whether people really do or not. It's all part of why I'm here. Why would, 400 trillion to one, why would I be here? And it's probably to help dissolve these common theme stories that we have as humans. They really all drill down to very personal. It's always personal. And it's always some kind of poor me or lack or, um, basically, I'm not enough on some degree.
Yeah, I think we all feel a little bit of that for sure. As we wrap up and look ahead, what's lighting you up right now?
Right now, what's lighting me up is that I am moving in the direction of uh, being able to present this kind of consciousness, this kind of work, this kind of healing modality to larger groups. And it's in my gift markings. I'm supposed to be on stages and I'm supposed to be speaking to large groups and raising, the love and the light and the consciousness. And I'm excited to do that. How that's going to happen, because I'm not really great at creating that from scratch, but I have people helping me. So that's my big vision. That's my big intention. I would love to travel the world and have trainings and large group clearings and um, do my bucket list travel and touch a lot of people's lives.
I love that. That's a beautiful vision. Helping all these people, serving, and also feeding yourself
Yep.
with your travel and your other
Right.
passions.
Yes. Yeah. I have felt really tied down. I've raised 5 kids and I'm 63. And so I'm ready to play, and travel and adventure is part of my wanting to play.
I love that. Yeah, I think we all need to play a little bit more, and the fact that you get to play at this stage of your life is really exciting.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. I know people will take a lot away from this. Where can listeners connect with you online?
Well, you can find me on my website is corebreakthroughcoaching.com. Um, I do have a little bit of a presence on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook. I started about 6 months ago a Substack um, presence, and I call it Shift Your SH*T, Shift Your. Um, so I have a newsletter that goes out every month through that, and I have a little tiny membership that people get something weekly from me, so they can look me up on Substack too.
Perfect. We'll link those in the show notes. Anita, thank you so much for joining me on the Leadership Lab. I really enjoyed our conversation today.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate the opportunity. You're doing great work.
Thank you for spending your time with me today on the Leadership Lab podcast. My hope is that this conversation sparked a new perspective or reinforced something you already knew. Until next time, keep leading with curiosity and intention.